another episode of Breakfast Bites, part of the Breakfast with the Gator show. We are brought to you by Norris Norris, PA. Norris Norris, PA in Lake City, Florida. They are a preeminent law firm serving North Florida since 1985. Give Guy a call if you need any assistance with business law matters, real estate, wills, or trust, and estate planning. You can give Guy a call at 386-752-740. And again, we are part of the Stadium and Gale Network. And we are blessed with the presence of Billy Latsko. Billy, former Florida Gator from 2002 to 2005 and 2006, and part of that 2006 national championship team as a starting fullback and a captain. How's it going, Billy?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy night to join us. You grew up in a Gator family, Billy. Your dad, I believe your grandfather played for the Gators in 1940. What was it like growing up in the Gator family in that Gainesville area, and what did it mean to you to wear that Florida Gator uniform for 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, both my grandfather and my dad played for the Gators. So yeah, my grandfather played back in the 40s, and dad played back in the late 60s. So three generations of Latskos getting to be blessed with the presence of the Florida Gator Nation and playing in the swamp. So growing up in Gainesville, going to all the games, mid '90s, Danny Warfel, Spurrier days. It was just an awesome experience to grow up there, and then eventually to walk on as a linebacker and have the collegiate career that I had there. It was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, you joined as a walk-on linebacker. That was, I believe, it was Ron Zook's first year. Take us through that transition from linebacker to fullback, and what sparked that change?
Sure. So, yeah, I grew up in Gainesville, went to Buholtz High, was a linebacker there all 4 years, and then decided to walk on to Florida. I had some smaller D2 schools, all the military schools wanted me to come and play there, but just growing up in Gainesville, I was like, man, I just got to give this a shot, and decided to take that leap and walked on as a linebacker. Spent my redshirt freshman year on the scout team. Grossman was the quarterback that year. That was 2002. And kind of just made a name for myself as a good scout team linebacker. Had quick feet, had decent hands when ball was thrown my way, and I could get a pick every now and then. But yeah, and then Zook needed a backup fullback the following year, so he went to Coach Loxley, running back coach at the time, and basically said, "Hey, man, go. You need to go pick one of the backup linebackers to come over here and be the backup fullback." And fortunately, I had a decent 40 time and decent size, so Loxley fortunately picked me, and I just kind of took over and played special teams 2002 and just continued to grow as a fullback. And I'm so glad that that decision was made because I never would have made it as far as I did playing linebacker for sure. So still an undersized fullback at that. So the transition, as far as blocking and tackling for me, it was all very similar. Um, as a linebacker, you're hit a lot more with your shoulders, but Coach Loxley, man, he drilled it in my head. You got to lead with that face mask and put your face right in the numbers. I remember that first training camp that I had. Man, the headaches were just nonstop. It was brutal, but like I said, I'm glad that transition was made and I had the experience that I did at Florida.
Well,
Gritty and sneaky athletic, Billy. Uh,
That's right.
Transitioning into this week and what we're up against with Miami. I know that back in your time at Florida, you played against Miami a couple times. Wasn't necessarily great results for our Gators in those 3 years, '02, '03, and '04. When you think about the Florida Miami game, as a guy that's played in it three times, as a guy that played against them in an Orange Bowl, or in a Peach Bowl too, what does this game mean to you as a former player, and what did it mean to you um, playing in it?
Yeah, it means a lot to me now. If I look back, growing up in Gainesville, we didn't really play Miami in the '90s, so it wasn't a thing. It wasn't a big rivalry. It at one point a long time ago, it was the biggest rivalry in Florida. I think the series ended in somewhere around like '87, I think it was, when it was the annual back-to-back series. So, growing up in Gainesville in the '90s, the big rivals were all SEC conference play, and obviously the big one, Florida State. So when I got there, obviously having lost to them three straight years in a row, that kind of ekes at you, and they've had our number for a while now, so it's a big one. We need to get the Dubs back in the Florida Gators' hands for sure.
Absolutely. How are those in-state rivalries different than the SEC games that we play kind of annually?
I think personally, for me, it's a lot. You can kind of look at rivalry games as from a fan's perspective and a player's perspective. And you can just relate it to personal experiences. For example, my family told me when we went and traveled to Miami, they were mistreated. It was a very hostile crowd, hostile environment. They actually feared for their lives. There was fights breaking out everywhere. Miami fans had squirt bottles that were filled with urine, spraying Florida fans. So it was just sounded like a disaster of a fan experience. So I think for every Florida fan, those personal experiences that you have, kind of can get at you and sway one way or another from a rivalry team and who that team is. And obviously for a player as well, you have personal experiences and you grow up with guys that you played with, and they go to a different team, so it means a little bit more that when you know an individual that you're playing against. So yeah, it's for me growing up and having that in-state rivalry added to Florida State. It means a lot, and like I said, we got to get the Dubs back in the Florida Gators' hands.
Absolutely. And I've been to two Florida Miami games, one in Jacksonville, one in Orlando, and both of those games were about as bad of an opposing fan base as I've ever been in a stadium with. Just terrible, terrible fans. Looking back on your playing days, were there any pregame as a player? What were those pregame speeches and those feelings in practice leading up to games like this like for you guys?
Oh man, it's they were intense. Coach Meyer had Coach Adazio, our tight end coach, O-line tight end coach, and if you know Adazio, he is a fiery guy. I mean, those pregame speeches were intense. I mean, we were getting ready before every game. It really didn't matter who we were playing. I mean, we were getting ready to go into battle, and Adazio set the tone every time, and there's spit flying, there's curse words going, left and right. So it was it was a joy to experience, and just to get that fire going in you from the get-go.
So you played Miami three times during your career. What was the most memorable thing that sticks out in your mind when you think about those three games?
Besides never getting a victory, they had some players on those teams back in the day. What really sticks out is when Hester and Parrish, they had our number, that Peach Bowl, and they just ran up and down our throat. I don't know how many combined yards those two guys had, but that's really the memory that sticks out to me.
I
Yeah,
remember as a kid watching that Peach Bowl, and I guess it was Charlie Strong's debut as the interim head coach after Coach Zook had been fired, and so there's been a lot of speculation about Coach Napier's job given the record and how last season went and everything. So, when Coach Strong came in and Coach Zook had been fired, what was it like when the interim came in and you only had him for a bowl game, but he was kind of a beloved head coach in Florida football?
Right. I think when everyone started talking about firing Coach Zook, fireronzook.com, the website came out, and as a team, we rallied around him. We loved Coach Zook. He's a player's coach. So we had his back, and obviously didn't want to see him go. We spent a lot of time together, and uh having we have no control over that. So for Coach Strong to step in, everyone loved Coach Strong as well, again, a player's coach. So it was a good fit for the team, and a good transition.
So when Coach Zook gets fired and Coach Meyer comes in, what was it like? How were they different as coaches?
Yeah, so again, everyone loves Zook, players coach, and we didn't know any different. I mean, we were busting our butts during the off season, busting our butts in practice. Felt like we were preparing well, but obviously we weren't meeting the expectations of the Florida Gators and the fan base. When Meyer got there, it was a complete 180 as far as pushing ourselves as individuals during the off season. One of the things that Coach Meyer did differently is we basically split up into teams. We had 18 captains. Those captains picked basically their roster for the off season, and we would compete every day. We would have strength days, conditioning days, academics was a part of it. So it really not only brought the team together, but it also pushed us to our limits, because every day, every single rep that we did, whether it was agility drills, speed drills, in the weight room, it was a competition. So you didn't want to lose. We had basically a wall board, poster board in the locker room that had each individual matchup for every week, and points earned, and points lost. So you did not want to be on the losing side. So that was just the off season, and that really set the tone for the season, and got us ready. I mean, every day you came to work. I mean, you were getting better every day. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So we woke up every day with that mindset, and it continued from the off season to the season. And it was tough. I mean, I know everyone's heard about the mat drills and everything. So just the toughness and everything that we went through as a team brought us together that much closer. So and I mean, we did everything together. So um, that was one of the big differences. And Meyer was a big proponent of just do your job. That was drilled into our heads constantly. Do your job. There's individual battles on the field, and those wins and losses of those individual battles will you take care of your individual battle. The team's going to come out on top every time. So that was one of the things that Meyer drilled into us that really stuck out to me.
Bill,
So,
I
well,
got,
real
I got.
quick,
Oh, go ahead, Will.
I was going to ask you. So when Coach Meyer comes in, and they sort of chronicled this a little bit in the Swamp Kings documentary that Netflix released a year or so ago, but he talks about that in 2005. He comes in with this new offense, and then it's just not working to how him and Coach Mullen wanted it to. So they scrapped it all in the bye week right before the Georgia game, and then the offense sort of takes off. And then in 2006, we won the national championship. So what was it like? Basically going through a new install in just a quick bye week span.
Right. So actually, Coach Meyer moved me back to linebacker 2005, when his first season. I got moved back to linebacker. So I was actually playing second team linebacker. I remember in the Kentucky game, I got a little bit of play time, and I completely had no idea what I was doing. I fought for a run. It was a pass, run pass option. I got sucked up, and they made a play on the other side of the field, and I'm like, man, I have no idea what I'm doing out here. I haven't played linebacker in a while, especially at the collegiate level, Division 1. So I only played a couple of plays, but he did have a goal line short yardage package where I would come in and I was the fullback. And I think it was that Kentucky game where that had pretty good success. And the following game, that's when we made the transition, and he basically created a position for me. Not necessarily, the I formation, old school fullback, but it was kind of he called it a P position. So I'd go in motion. I'd line up in the slot sometimes and motion into the backfield. So, it was a pretty quick transition. But it, our playbooks are so thick, and week to week the game plan changes. So every week, you're learning plays on the fly and making adjustments and scheming against the other team. So it wasn't that big of an adjustment.
Billy, you brought up Ron Zook, fireronzook.com. That was in 2004. So before you guys really had laptops, phones, in the locker room, stuff like that. Players nowadays, that's all they are. It's on social media and their phones in the locker room, um, really all throughout the day. How was it kind of avoiding that noise, staying away from it, keeping the team together back in 2004? What's the challenges for a player nowadays to kind of, hear about all this Napier noise for almost 2 years now?
Right. Yeah, it's got to be tough for those guys. It's so hard to avoid, with social media these days. It was hard to avoid even back then when I was playing. You didn't have near the amount of social media presence that is in out there today. So, we were always told by Zook and by Meyer, just everything is in house, everything stays in house. Don't listen to anything that the media is saying, the fans are saying. It's us. It's all about us. We are in control of our own destiny, and that was drilled into us by both Zook and Meyer. And like you said, in today's world, it's just it's got to be almost impossible for those guys to achieve that. So I don't know how it's done. I don't know what they're saying, and how you avoid that in these days. But yeah, it's definitely something that's challenging for these guys.
Billy,
So, oh,
let me
go ahead,
really
Devin.
Billy, when you were a senior, you played with a pretty highly touted freshman quarterback that was notorious, at least in the media and in stories since then, for not being the best practice player. How did the rest of the team rally around Tebow when you were a senior as a freshman? Obviously, he didn't really struggle that much as a true freshman in his role. But when you watched him struggle in practice, or if he struggled in practice, how did the rest of the team respond to that? And how do you think that the rest of the team can respond to DJ struggling so far this year, and maybe for the first time in his career having some adversity that he hasn't faced before?
Yeah, so yeah, I only had one season with Tebow, and really Leak was our main quarterback. We had the Tebow package where he would come in, 5 to 10 plays a game in certain situations. But I mean, from day one, Tebow as a freshman, you could tell he was just a leader. His presence that he brought to him, vocally, and what he did by example, really just set the tone. So you have a guy like that. I know, and I'm sure Lagway is very similar. It's easy to get behind and follow that and when they're struggling, you just can find ways to lift them up, and they're obviously not doing anything intentional. So it's easy to get behind someone and back them up and pick them up when they're down.
I was just going to ask one last question about the transition from Coach Zook to Coach Meyer. What was it like once Coach Zook had officially been let go? You sort of had a period where it seemed like Coach Spurrier might be rehired, and then you go to Coach Meyer. What was it like, sort of in that interim period? Um, what was the vibe around the team like? What were the conversations you guys were having? What were things like, I guess?
I think we were kind of kept away from most of that, just most of those discussions, and like like I said earlier, we tried to stay out of the media as much as possible. So there's probably a lot of things behind the scenes that the players didn't even know was going on. We were just focused on the task for that week, and playing the hand that we were dealt, whether it was Coach Zook, Coach Meyer, or Coach Strong, whoever it was going to be. Just trying to focus on the task at hand, take it one day at a time, make sure we were prepared well for that week, and take it one play at a time during the game.
Billy, and seeing the struggles, you're a season ticket holder, go to all the games. Um, through your perspective, the first three, what is this kind of coaching staff going into Saturday night's game in Miami? You just had a woeful performance against LSU, an inexcusable performance the week prior against USF. What does this coaching staff and team really need to do on offense, kind of bounce back? Napier's never won a road game, a ranked road game. What would seeing it from your perspective, they got to change offensively?
Yeah, you take the game each week, and you go and you learn from your mistakes. You spend one day doing that. You watch the film as a team, you see what you did wrong, you see what you did good, and you build on it, on the things that you did right. Um, and then basically from there, it's we're on to next week, and that opponent. What scheme are we doing? What changes are we making, if any? And you start preparing for that game. So, you know, I guess you just got to take it one day at a time. You can't focus and dwell on what's already happened. It's happened. So you got to move on, and focus at the task at hand. Um, when you're in that moment in the game, you take one play at a time. You don't look at the final outcome. You never focus on that. Uh, you take one play at a time. The play is called. You to go execute that play to the best of your ability. Go do your job. Go win that one-on-one battle, and the rest will, hopefully take care of itself. You can't get caught up on thinking about the outcome of the game, if we're going to win or we're going to lose. And you just got to take one play at a time and go do your job for that play.
Well, Billy, you're a national champion, SEC champion. What was your favorite moment as a Gator?
Oh man, I've there's a lot of favorite moments. Like I said before, it's growing up as a fan in Gainesville, and having that dream come true. There's a lot of good memories there, but definitely winning the national championship, in '06, my senior year. That takes the victory of the favorite moment for sure. Just being on that field, and um, beating Ohio State, and it was obviously a long season, a long road to get there, and just accomplishing that goal, with the teammates and coaching staff that we had, was just one of the best feelings in the world for sure. So.
What were your thoughts? Ohio State's number one in the country. A lot of people thought Michigan got snubbed. The Gators did not deserve to be in Glendale playing that game. Troy Smith won the Heisman Trophy just a month prior, and Troy Smith takes that kickoff 100 yards back to the house. What's going through your mind and your teammates' mind with Ohio State up 7-0 before you really can blink?
Yeah, there was no hesitation, no doubt in anyone's mind. We're going to be fine. It's one play. Shake it off. Let's play. Play our game. Do one play at a time. Do your job. And I don't think there was ever any doubt in anyone's mind, that we were gonna be victorious that game. And that's how you got to approach every game. You got to be confident. You got to know that you're going to win, and that's how you go into each game, with confidence. There's no way this opponent is going to beat us. And if you take that approach every game, you're going to win. You're going to come out with more dubs than L's. So, but yeah, I think we all knew it. We all had that feeling. Coming into that game in '06 and playing Ohio State. So, yeah, it was a great day. It's a great day to be a Gator.
Every
It's always,
day is.
every day is a great day to be a
That's
Gator.
right. That's right.
Will or Dev, any additional follow-up questions? We're going before we get into score prediction for Saturday.
No,
I feel,
let's hear what he's got.
All
I,
right, Bill. You got the black flag mentality background. Gators on the road. I haven't even checked the latest AP rankings. So I don't even know what Miami's ranked coming into this matchup. But College Game Day will be there. First time in a while. The Gators, I guess they'll be in uh, South Fort Lauderdale, but the Gators making another appearance on College Game Day. So, what do you think the score is going to be Saturday night in Hard Rock?
Oh man, you're gonna make me pick a score?
Yeah,
I thought I was just gonna pick a team.
I know you got to pick a
Oh,
score.
oh man. All right. Well, I'm not a betting man, so I am going with the Gators. The Gators are gonna come out on top. Um, it's gonna be 21-17.
there we
I
go.
like.
I
I
like
like.
it.
I
I
feel like
like
we
it.
do got to win one of those dog fights if
Yeah.
our defense is playing too well. All right, Will, what do you got?
I am also not a betting man, so I will go 20-16 Gators. I think Carson Beck throws the hat trick again, 3 picks. Maybe Aaron Gates, Miles Graham come up with one, and I think after listening to Billy's press conference, it sounds like we might start really running the ball. So we can fact check me on Sunday and see how that turns out. But I think we're going to get back to running the ball and hopefully have a good plan that goes out there and we can win the game.
This is our show, and Corey might kick us off the Stadium Gale Network if we pick Miami on his network. Uh, I will go with the Florida Gators, uh, 38, Miami 20. They
38.
We play mistake free football. We play Billy's brand of no margin for error football, black flag mentality in Hard Rock at night for their blackout game.
Th-
Everything is absolutely perfect, and the Florida Gators get back to 500.
There we go. That's what I'm
This
talking about.
this might be worse than your hot take to start the year that Napier's will be coach of the year in the SEC. I,
I
I don't
think
I don't I'm not giving the Gators a shot on Saturday. I'm sure when I wake up Saturday morning, I'll think the Gators are going to win. But leading up to Saturday, I've got the Canes 38 and Florida 17, and it's just
Oh my
another
gosh.
that
embarrassing
sounds
effort on national television
Well, I mean,
for Florida.
technically that would be an improvement since
Yeah,
last year was 41-17. So
good point.
that
Good point. We just
that
get to hear 38-17 on Twitter for the next, I
that is
guess, 3 years.
progress we can point to.
Good point.
Jackson, come on.
I know. I'm sorry, Bill. I'll wake up Saturday and
Yeah,
tell you go Gators, and I'll be cheering for them like everyone else will in
I
this
know you will be. I know.
days. But
hey,
realistically speaking, one last question, Billy. VB3, you saw Percy Harvin as a freshman wear number 8, and you saw your firsthand all the big plays he made. What have you seen out of Vernell Brown so far, especially him in the return game that maybe kind of mirrors Percy's freshman skill
Yeah,
set?
very similar. I don't think I'm ready yet to say he's going to be Percy Harvin, but VB3 is special. You know, I know his dad personally, grew up with him, and Purnell was special too. You know, he was one of the quickest guys on the field, and you know, I when I was getting to know VB3, I asked his dad, Vernell, I said, "Hey man, what's with your son? What's going on with him? You know, how I hear he's the real deal." And he said, "Man, he's way better than me." So I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, well." And he's already proven that as a freshman, man. He is going to be special. He's a yeah, he's a good one. We gotta do everything we can to make him happy, keep him and keep him on the field. Yeah.
He did. He's not Percy Harvin yet, but I think whenever I was watching the LIU game from London, you could see how quick he was, and it reminded me of the big run Percy had against UCF. That I think was either the opener or the second game back in 2006, where it was just like we haven't seen speed like that in probably since like the Jacquez Green days. You could
Right.
just tell it was
Yeah.
different than
I mean,
everybody else.
the thing with Percy is, you know, he's at top speed, and 3-4 steps. He's 2 steps ahead everyone in the first 10 yards, and then he just maintains that speed through his cuts, and it's just he can't do anything about it. So yeah, yeah,
That
VB3 is special as well though.
that Percy lean and the Arkansas play in the SEC championship and then the South Carolina play in '08 are the two that you're just like, this is a
Yeah,
guy that you haven't seen before and that you'll never see again.
Our boy Billy opened up that hole versus Arkansas.
Yep.
That's right.
yeah, it makes my job easier when you got that speed coming right behind you. I don't have to keep it open that long.
Well, thank you, Billy. We appreciate your time, man. As always, go Gators, and we hope to have you back on the
Absolutely.
show one day.
All right, guys,
Thanks,
sounds
Billy. Go
good. Thank
Gators.
you, guys. Go Gators.
Thank you, Billy.
All right. Well, that was Billy Latsko, 2006 national champion and SEC champion. And that interview is brought to you by Norris Norris, PA. Norris Norris, PA in Lake City, Florida. Give Guy a call at 386-752-7240 if you need any assistance with business law matters, real estate, wills, or trust and estate planning.
Man,
That
that
was
was awesome. I feel obligated to whenever somebody mentions the Ted Ginn Jr. National Championship kickoff return, I feel the obligation to say that Reggie Nelson got held on that play.
He
And
did.
Yeah.
nobody remembers that, but
I'm glad they didn't call the holding because then we go on a 41-7 run after that, just blow the doors off of them after
Yeah.
that. So
It was
And-
nice when the heralded Beanie Wells had his little garbage time touchdown.
Eddie
And
George,
that was the last he was ever heard from.
Eddie George on the sideline, speed. All right, man, we should. Yeah,
No, but that was great.
that was great. That was great.
It was nice to get his perspective, especially that he played for two different coaches and sort of saw both sides of where Florida had obviously come off of being ultra successful with Steve Spurrier and having a guy like Rex Grossman, Heisman snub, and then transitioning into Ron Zook, where nowadays we might even take Ron Zook, but just not living up to what the Gator standard was as it was set under Coach Spurrier, and then a new guy coming in here and with virtually the same roster, just taking the nation by storm.
yeah, and I thought I forgot all about fireonzook.com too. And
I had forgotten about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so back in those days when you really didn't have laptops or phones or really anything, so it was a lot easier to probably blow off those distractions and what these guys got nowadays with Twitter and Instagram and everything else that is in their hand.
All right.
So-
Well, I mean, and not even to mention that, like, one, it's the players, but two, the players' parents. I
Yeah.
mean, we see it on Twitter with parents. Like, it's almost like the classic story of like the middle or high school kid that like his son's not playing, so the parent goes and says something to the coach, and you kind of have that in real life now with somebody doesn't think that their son gets the ball enough, or somebody thinks that the plays aren't called right, and you start getting a little chirp going back and forth on Twitter, and then former players can get into the mix and all that stuff. So it's more than just the players having to block out the noise from us couch coaches.
Yeah, where I was sitting in Baton Rouge, the parents section was one section over the same group of rows that we were in, and from where I was sitting, at least on Saturday, the majority of the ire, 100% of the ire, was set towards the man in black on the sidelines and not towards the players on the field as much. Although they're not immune from criticism either, but it seemed most of the fan base, especially that was in Baton Rouge, were focused on the coaching miscues that we saw that we have seen now for 41 games.
Yeah, and Dev, take us through that. You, Lovelace, or Hunter were not on the show. You guys were traveling back from Baton Rouge and NOLA while we recorded the Gators loss. Just take us through your experience of Baton Rouge.
Yeah, it's a cool, unique environment, different place. Obviously, you go to Louisiana, you go to New Orleans. The food was excellent. If you haven't been in a while, Bourbon Street still smells really bad. Um, the drive into Baton Rouge, we had a good time. Tailgated for a little bit outside of the stadium. Paid a visit to Mike the Tiger. He was not out. I don't know where he was on game day, but we did not get to see Mike the Tiger beforehand. Had an LSU fan tried to trip us on our way into the stadium, but that was about the extent of it. It was mostly friendly Tiger baits and Go Tigers getting yelled, which is kind of what you expect on a game day. And then as far as the game went, the uh, the product is so bad. It's. I think I said last week that I fully expected the LSU game to look just like the USF game, and I think it kind of played out that way, where you saw an offense that in order for it to be successful, you have to play margin for error free football, and it's something that we said last week in the USF post game, and it's something that we were even further from executing on Saturday night. If you're playing in a game against a team with that you have more talent than at home, and you have a very slim margin for error, just think about how much more slim that margin for error is when you go on the road against a top five team. I think LSU's a top five team. I don't think that they will be at the end of the season. They didn't strike me as a top 10 team seeing them in person. Um, so when you go out and you don't have a good offensive plan, if when you don't run a scheme that's conducive to overcoming mistakes, when you make five mistakes at the quarterback position and you throw five interceptions, when you um, get a 87-yard touchdown call back for a holding because the offensive line can't handle the quarterback breaking out of the pocket and making a play off schedule, those are the kind of mistakes that cost you football games. And another thing that didn't make sense to me was after the game, we heard that we should excuse the quarterback's performance because he only had 4 weeks of practice. Well, if you know that the quarterback isn't totally ready yet, or he's still rusty, still shaking off some of that rust, I'm not sure why you throw the ball 42, 47 times. What was it?
Yeah, 49.
49 times and run it 27 with maybe the best running back in the SEC. So
Maybe that's our fault. We were telling him we needed to see more offense, and so he said we got to throw the ball.
right.
That is on us.
I was asking why couldn't he just be like Spurrier, and then he started chucking it up like Spurrier with the Shane
Yeah.
Matthews 5 picks and all
Not
that.
quite
So
like not quite like Spurrier though, because I don't remember. Obviously, we're more watching the highlights and the tapes of Spurrier, but I don't remember Spurrier running the same 2-man route combinations to Hayden Hansen types every time we got the ball. That's a featured part of the offense, even though that's the weakest recruited room on the entire roster. Sounds like it's a good thing that I wasn't here on Sunday night. Give y'all my life
well,
if you
we
want.
appreciate the breakdown of all those plays. That way we could have some PTSD, mental anguish.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was shocking to see, and I've watched all three games in person this year. And LSU was the first game where it really stuck out just how prepared LSU's defense was for everything we wanted to do offensively, especially
Shout
with
out Corey Raymond and Jack Fibrant for giving their team all of Billy's 8 plays.
yeah, they didn't have to. They could have written it on the back of a small cocktail napkin. The extent of the route concepts that we like to run. I'd like for the plan to be on maybe third and fours, trying to get more than 5 yards, having some routes that don't just end at the first down marker. Something that Billy said that at his Monday post moratorium press conferences, losses to USF and LSU now. I'm sure we'll hear it again if he makes it to next Monday's press conference. You take what the defense gives you, and eventually they'll give you the game. I don't know if he heard that at Harris County High School, where he heard it from, but it should stay in high school locker rooms because this is the University of Florida. We thought you had a Lamborghini at quarterback. We've said all offseason this is the most talented team and the most talented roster that we've had his entire time at the University of Florida. So I don't understand why you're letting the defense dictate to you what the offensive plan and what the offensive scheme is. And it's just indicative of everything that's wrong with his philosophy around offense and with his mindset for what he's thinking when he's calling plays. So that's kind of my thoughts from the game as far as the environment at the game. I didn't think it was louder than the Swamp. I didn't think it was more hostile than Tennessee. And maybe that was a product of Florida not being what Florida should be right now. But I wasn't blown away. I thought it was a fun, cool environment, but I wouldn't put it on the same level as the Swamp or as Neyland Stadium for that matter.
Auburn's better out of the Tiger teams in the SEC. Auburn's light years better than Death Valley.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've never been to Auburn, so I'm excited one day to get there.
Auburn, LSU is in New Orleans North, but Auburn is the one that has the crazy voodoo.
Yeah.
Weird stuff happens in that. I was there in 2006. I was there in, 2004 when we played them and lost. I mean, weird stuff happens in that stadium.
Was 06 the game where they called the fumble on Chris Leak, but it was a
really and now and they didn't. I think that was actually the first year that they had instant replay.
That's right.
It was,
And now when you watch it, it like could not. I mean, especially if you go watch the Jags play from last Sunday, where we knocked it out of Burrow's hands, and they were like, "Oh, it's going for it!" Like, oh my goodness, how the standard has changed.
Yeah, seriously.
The forward pass has come a long way, and it's being set back again by Billy Napier.
The in-game presentation was cool. Their little it's a night game in Death Valley pregame.
Cool. I have a question about their in-game presentation. Do they have a DJ that plays the same like 6 Travis Scott songs over and over and over again?
So they do play the same songs, but they're boozy songs that the whole crowd sings along to. They do like
fiend. None of
that. There's like local guys to it. They played Call in Baton Rouge going into the fourth quarter. They had a light show that kind of synchronized with the song. It was a cool environment. I just there was the character of the stadium. I think is a little different. Like Florida, you're just on the field, and we walked kind of on the field pregame. They kind of have a almost looks like an old track. That it just wasn't the same as the Swamp, and obviously we're as biased as it gets to the Swamp. But I didn't look around and go, man, my ears are piercing right now, like I have in the Swamp several times, and like I did in Neyland Stadium, quite frankly.
Did they any go DJ? That's my DJ.
So me and Hunter were talking about that on the way out.
That could have been the problem.
It's probably after his 4th interception they played it when the Gator stepped on the field.
Well, on our way out of the stadium after the game, we parked on the opposite side of the stadium from where our seats were. So we had to walk through the student section exit to leave the stadium. So walking in, it wasn't that bad. Walking out was when you had the guys getting in your face and the less fun, just trying to get back to my van walk of shame. And we had someone yell at us, DJ for Heisman. And that was the one that, like, more than the Billy Napier chirps, more than the enjoy your ride back to Florida chirps, the DJ Lagway for Heisman one was the one that kind of struck a nerve, because that was a lie that we had all engaged in.
My favorite saying is enjoy your flight back to Florida. We're flying back to the beaches, and you guys stay in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I will certainly enjoy my flight back home, win or lose.
Yes, I'll enjoy my 12 hours in an airport on a delay. More than I'll enjoy staying in the state of Louisiana.
Oh, man.
Well, good stuff, guys. We'll reconvene Sunday following the Gators' performance against the Hurricanes in Hard Rock. Sounds like you two are optimistic as a lot.
Well, I was kind of just telling lies for Billy Latsko.
Yeah, don't clip that. I didn't want to
Sorry.
about our Florida Gators in front of a Letterman and a national champion.
Yeah, we had to
I'm
pay our
next to tell
respects.
Billy on the golf course you guys lied to him. So
No. We were telling half truths. We could come out and do what we predicted, but it also would not shock me if Carson Beck throws 0 picks and that they just run it down our throat, and
I think
that we're the ones who throw 3 picks.
Yeah, I think that this game has a high quit possibility. We've kind of talked about it this week that Miami has the kinds of lines of scrimmage that at some point during this game, I could see the defense, especially if the offense continues to struggle. The defense, kind of like in the mid 2010s when we were so anemic on offense, that the defense held up, and then finally it was just like the dam broke and
Second touchdown, you knew it was hopeless.
Right. I could kind of see that this game has those vibes playing out. And if that's the case, then this game could get ugly.
Speaking of which, that may already be setting in again, because I don't know if you remember the fourth quarter when LSU had taken it all the way down. It was 20-10. They'd taken it all the way down, gotten a couple big plays, and they fumbled it. And Thornton, him trying to pick up that crowded fumble instead of just falling on it, that actually took me back to the Muschamp McElwain days where the defense knew that they had to score. Yes. Otherwise, we were not scoring a touchdown.
Who was it that actually picked off Nussmeier because it was the exact same?
It was Dijon Johnson. Yeah, and it was just he had to score. And it reminded me of the 2020, I think the 2014 game against Jameis, where did he throw 4 picks or 5? So 1, Lagway, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Some Gator greats and Jameis Winston have thrown a lot of picks, so we can come back from it. But 2, Brian Poole had the interception, and he cut back. And when he cut back, all of Gator Nation knew the game was over because we were not going to be able to score a touchdown if he had cut outside and just outrun Jameis. We might have won the game.
It's appropriate, too. There was the 2013 game against Miami in Hard Rock where Vernon Hargraves had the pick, and we needed him to score on that pick 6. And obviously, Vernon never had a pick 6 in his career at Florida. I think that was about the closest he got to one. And it would have been nice because I think Driscoll threw a pick right back to them the very next play that series.
Yeah.
Fun times in Gator Nation, boys.
Fun times in Gator Nation. But as Billy said, it's a different week this week. We got to compartmentalize, do your job, and hopefully the team and the staff are taking that to heart.
We're very close to being dangerous, is what he said.
Yeah, he also said it's almost over.
He is very close to being dangerous to my mental health. I'll tell you that.
He's past that point, brother.
Yeah.
He's eventually the defense is going to give us the game if we just keep taking what they give us, man.
Eventually.
Hopefully he won't be here to see it.
That's going to inspire some 15 and 16-year-olds next fall. All
right, well, we'll end there, fellas. There's another episode of Breakfast Bites, part of our Breakfast for the Gators platform. We are again part of the Stadium Gale Network and presented by Norris Norris, PA. So give Guy a call at 386-752-7240. His link is in the banner below, and just give him a call if you need any assistance with business law matters, real estate, wills, or trust and estate planning. And we will see you guys again Sunday morning. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Thanks for the therapy session, boys.
Yeah, and thank you, Billy Latsko.